Ever come home from a party that you genuinely had fun at, only to feel completely and totally wiped out? It's a weird feeling, right? Well, today we're diving deep into what that is. Social fatigue, or what some people call a social hangover. Let's get into it.
You know the feeling I'm talking about. You were at a wedding, a birthday party, or maybe just a long dinner with friends. You loved it, you laughed, you had a great time, but the moment you walk through your front door, bam, you hit a wall. It feels like you've just run a marathon, and all you want to do is crawl into a dark, quiet room. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, trust me, you are in good company.
And here's the thing. What you're feeling, it has a name. It's a very real thing called a social hangover or social fatigue. It's that deep, kind of bone-tired exhaustion, both in your head and in your body, that kicks in after you've been around people for a while. And the key thing to remember is that it can happen even after events you actually really enjoyed.
Now, it's so easy to go down that rabbit hole, right? You start thinking, what is wrong with me? Am I just antisocial? Am I secretly a hermit? But the truth is, so much kinder than that. This isn't some deep personality flaw. It's a completely normal biological and psychological response. So let's talk about why it happens.
Okay, first things first. We have got to bust the biggest myth right out of the gate. This is not just an introvert problem. The science behind our social energy is frankly pretty surprising.
For forever, we've been told this one story. Introverts get drained by people and extroverts get energized by them. And look, there's a grain of truth in there about where people prefer to get their energy from. But this idea that extroverts have some kind of infinite social battery, yeah, that's just not true.
And we've actually got the science to back this up. There was this really fascinating study in the Helion journal, where researchers tracked people's behavior and energy. And what did they find? They found that even when people acted super sociable and extroverted, they consistently reported feeling more tired a few hours later. It proves that the very act of socializing costs energy, no matter who you are.
So, a better way to think about it is like this. Everybody has a social battery. It's universal. The only real difference is that an extrovert might start the day with a fuller charge, or they might enjoy the process of draining it more. But make no mistake, that battery drains for them too. So, if it happens to everyone, what is it about just talking to people that is so incredibly demanding? Let's pull back the curtain and look at all the invisible work your brain is doing behind the scenes. It really comes down to three main things that are sucking up all your energy, something called cognitive load, another called emotional labor or masking, and good old sensory overload. Let's break each of those down real quick. First up, cognitive load. I mean, think about it. When you're in a conversation, your brain is working on overdrive. You aren't just hearing words. You're constantly reading facial expressions, analyzing tone of voice, trying to remember who said what, and tracking the whole vibe of the group. It's like running a dozen complex programs at once. And yeah, that is super mentally taxing. Then there's emotional labor. This is the work it takes to manage your emotions to fit a situation. You know, like the classic service with a smile at work, or pretending you're having the best time at a loud family gathering when you're actually super overwhelmed. This act of masking, of hiding how you really feel, is incredibly draining. It's like you're holding up a heavy shield the whole time. And finally, sensory overload. Our brains can only handle so much input at once. So when you're in a crowded room with loud music, a dozen conversations happening at the same time, and maybe even bright lights, it can totally overwhelm your nervous system. For a lot of us, that's the trigger. That's what makes you feel like you just need to shut down and get out of there. Now, this next part is really, really important. We need to draw a clear line in the sand here, because feeling drained after socializing is one thing, but feeling fearful is something else entirely. Let's look at the crucial difference between introversion, or social fatigue, and social anxiety. Okay, let's just lay it all out. Introversion is a personality trait. It's just part of who you are. Social anxiety is a mental health condition, and the motivation is completely different. An introvert wants to be alone to recharge their energy. Someone with social anxiety avoids people to escape a deep, intense fear of being judged. The core feeling for an introvert is being drained or overstimulated. For social anxiety, it's distress and fear.
So when you boil it all down, it's this simple. One is about managing your energy. It's about your personal capacity. The other is about managing an overwhelming sense of fear. Knowing that difference is absolutely key to understanding yourself and knowing what kind of support you might need.
Okay, so we get what it is, we get why it happens. But now for the big question.
what the heck do we actually do about it? Let's get super practical with a toolkit for managing that social battery of yours.
You know, a lot of the work happens before you even leave the house. First, just do a quick, honest gut check. How's your battery looking right now? If you're already at 30%, adjust your plans. And this one's a game changer. Set your boundaries in advance. Just deciding, okay, I'm going to stay for an hour and a half can feel so empowering. And if you can, try to build in a little quiet time before you go, just to calm your system down.
And when you're actually at the event, give yourself permission to take mini breaks. Seriously, a 5-minute trip to the bathroom or stepping outside for some fresh air can be a total reset button. And you know what? It's okay to just be honest. Saying, I'm feeling a little low energy tonight, but I'm so glad I came, is authentic and lets people know where you're at. Also, try to find a calm anchor, a quieter corner of the room, or that one person who makes you feel totally at ease.
And what you do after is just as crucial. Please give yourself a soft landing. Don't schedule a party on Friday and then a big brunch on Saturday. Reconnect with your body. A hot shower, lighting a candle, snuggling under a weighted blanket, whatever feels good. And then do something that genuinely fills your cup back up, even if it's just watching your favorite comfort show for the 100th time.
So let's wrap all this up with a really powerful new way of thinking about this whole thing. Because the goal here is not to fix you. Why? Because you're not broken.
This right here, this is the heart of it all. Instead of judging yourself and getting stuck in that negative loop, just get curious. The goal is to shift that internal voice from asking, what is wrong with me, to a much more practical and compassionate question. Okay, this is just how my system works, so how can I work with it? This is about management, not about shame.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. What if choosing to leave the party early or saying no to that invitation in the first place, what if that isn't being flaky or antisocial? What if it's actually one of the most radical and necessary forms of self-care you can practice? Just something to think about. Thanks for exploring all this with me today.